All right, now we're going to play. We had we've got about 2 hours worth of material here, but let's play. First, we're going to play from the Monday night, and then there's been in the newspaper, and so I'm going to start back on September 29th, and I have all the papers here, the editorial sections, starting with the 29th, and then 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th of October, all the way up to yesterday's Mondays. I have Monday's paper here, and that is in regard to what started the discussion is the letter and DVD that the Archbishop sent out, Minneapolis, St. Paul archbishops from the Archdiocese sent out, and I'm not being a Catholic. Well, I can't say that. When somebody asks me what denomination I am, I say I'm a Christian. You know, I go to a Catholic retreat once a year. I go to a Presbyterian church. I go to a Lutheran church, and so Christian is the word. So I'm going to touch on that, but first we're going to play, and actually at the council meeting from Monday night, I made a statement about this. So if we're ready with that, let's go ahead and play that, and then we'll jump back and forth here.
Now, I presume, since you're the only one left in the room.
Good evening, 505. Bob Zick, North St. Paul. Business and property interest in Maplewood. And I want to say good evening. And because I have many things to talk about, people can see the full extent of my comments. I see you timing me out already, Will, so, you know, the important stuff has to be cut off. They can see the rest of the comments on Inside Insight on Wednesday night, 8:30 to 5:30, Channel 15 on cable. Last Monday, Mr. Nephew had previously said that we were going to have a discussion on single city-run and controlled single-hauler trash pickup. Well, last Monday was not a discussion, it was just input. And there was no give and take, there was no discussion. So people should understand why they're disappointed.
That everyone is reminded that we have called this special meeting solely to talk about whether or not we want to further investigate organized collection. And this meeting is next Monday, October 4th. It will be here in the City Council chambers, and it will be at 7 o'clock.
That is correct.
And so I would encourage everybody to come down and to be part of a big, fun, happy discussion that we're going to all have about it.
Yes, the moderator. Yes. I have been misrepresented, misquoted, and misstated, and I, you know, in the interest of hearing everybody's questions, haven't asked to go back and do corrections. So, moderator. Yes. I have been misrepresented, misquoted, and misstated, and I, you know, in the interest of hearing everybody's questions, haven't asked to go back and do corrections. So I just want to know if this is going to be, you know, part of the debate, if I should be asking for that when people paraphrase and put words in my mouth.
Mr. Nephew had previously said that we were going to have a discussion on single city-run and controlled single-hauler trash pickup. Well, last Monday was not a discussion, it was just input. And there was no give and take, there was no discussion. So people should understand why they're disappointed. Also, with that recycling, the question is, now you've gone to a single hauler recycler for the pickup. Now, we have required recycling. I'm sure there's going to be a penalty coming along if you don't recycle. But the recycling then becomes the property of the city. So I think that's just kind of a concept people should grasp. Then, moving on, restraining orders. And, this goes to, actually, I'm going to tie it into the check register, page 30 on the larger packet. But going to that, I guess when I look at, the City Council's use of restraining orders, and I think that's 5 of 5 over there, Kathy Juneman.
Actually, if you're going to do it that way, I'd be 1 of 5. I've been here the longest. So
thank you, Kathy. I'll interrupt you, too. When I look at, the City Council's use of restraining orders, and I think that's 5 of 5 over there, Kathy Juneman.
Actually, if you're going to do it that way, I'd be 1 of 5. I've been here the longest. So
thank you, Kathy. I'll interrupt you, too. And so,
you always do.
Mr. Rosbach, am I right to assume that you have a restraining order against you for 2 years for no possession of a gun and no poaching of deer and no shooting in the direction of homes? So I look at that in comparison to a restraining order.
Always do.
Mr. Rosbach, am I right to assume that you have a restraining order against you for 2 years for no possession of a gun and no poaching of deer and no shooting in the direction of homes? So I look at that in comparison to a restraining order. Yes, you laugh. When this council wants to put a restraining order against a citizen who comes up here and challenges this council and the way it operates. And so we're going to use restraining orders once again against a citizen. So moving from there, it's interesting when I look at the approval of claims, the check register, there was another tuition for $1,000 for Alicia Metre.
All right, that's enough.
Well, I believe that last meeting, the question is, wasn't there another one in there for $3,000 for tuition for the same person? And we need to understand this.
Enough.
Well, I believe that last meeting, the question is, wasn't there another one in there for $3,000 for tuition for the same person? And we need to understand this person, I think, was on the disbanded gang strike force highway patrol.
Bob?
Well, no, this question.
If you want to question a payment, you can do so. You will leave a name and description out of there.
I think you're wrong on that.
Well, I don't care what you think about that.
But thank you.
The name and description out of there.
I think you're wrong on that.
Well, I don't care what you think about that.
But thank you, 1 of 5. Anyway, the issue becomes this person, and then there was this other person. All I can refer to that person then, not by name, but by maybe title, Jehovah's Witness from Matamidi, that filled out an affidavit, had the insight to send it to this person that we can't talk about, that even I would have had to try to decipher who this person is. Leaves a lot of questions on what's going on here to try to take away this person's freedom of speech with restraining orders again and prevent that person from coming up here and addressing this council. Workshop. Once again, the workshop redefined marriage and family. That was the purpose of it. And given special rights to certain groups, period.
Bob,
and
you know we didn't talk about that, don't you?
Non-romantic domestic partners. Here's an example of a woman who clearly articulated that she was the only family she had.
Well, folks, that's why we bring you the videotapes. They absolutely are in the process up there of talking about redefining families, changing the definition of marriage, and it's under this guise of well, we're gonna show you some more. You know what it is here, folks. As we get into this, I personally am tired of being bullied and discriminated against for being a Christian. And, you know, it's by bigots who want to impose their lifestyle on me. I'm in the minority. And so you know, it's time that the minority speaks out. And so we're going to play some more, and you watch this. And we're going to play some more footage. Just let's continue with
Appropriate
this.
from what I took away from you guys and your discussion point, and replaced it with an EG, in this case, referencing a traditional marriage license, which is a county-driven document that most counties require, as far as I know, to get legally married, in quotes. The other article that is also in your packet talks about Edina, as well as the other suburbs in the area that are considering these. I understand that on the agenda in both Richfield and Bloomington, similar ordinances are being considered. I would just ask that you consider from the standpoint of all the suburbs and the outstate.
Like the couple of ladies that Jim was referencing, that may not really be anything marriage-like at all in their relationship to one another, but, you know, best friends who are their only remaining family, in effect. And other than that, I think it's, well, even with that, I think it's very good, but that was the one change that I came across that I would want.
And Mayor and Council, if I can ask, just as long as we're on that point, that sort of language is actually used later on in the document too. So, assuming that everyone agrees with that suggestion, I'll make sure that it's edited out in the other place too.
Do you recall what the other part is where that's specifically referenced? I mean, I know that there's the reference to domestic partnership, which has a lot of allusions to the way that it might be defined in other jurisdictions.
Yeah, it's actually on page 12.
Well, folks, redefining family and marriage. You know, these are the people that you put up there. And, you know, religious liberty and my person as the being in the minority, and it's this this constantly being bullied and discriminated against. I mean, I'm sick and tired of it that these bigots do that, and I for one am gonna stand up and say, stop already, enough of this. So we're gonna play some more clips here, so you get to
Think about
understand.
that.
Thank you, 1 of 5. Anyway, the issue becomes this person, and then there was this other person. Once again, the workshop redefined marriage and family. That was the purpose of it.
didn't
Given
even cover
special
that,
rights
Bob.
to certain groups, period.
Bob,
And
you know
then
we didn't talk about that, don't you?
Will, keep your comments for your time. Also at the workshop, employees' next contract, labor management. That really must be a hard position for the lot of you to find yourself in as much as you get here via the labor union and their money. So people need to understand that. Tourist
The method you do that by is you vote on it. Somebody moves to close the meeting, and you take a vote, and if the meeting is closed, then we proceed to discuss labor negotiations. And at the same time as we close the meeting, an audio recording should be started, not visual, but an audio recording is required to be started that is then kept confidential until the contracts are closed, and then I believe it's kept for 2 years after the close of the contracts. So that is the order by which you proceed in order to close the meeting.
All right.
And I would recommend that we do that.
Okay. And then I would make a motion to close the meeting so we can frankly discuss negotiations with our union groups.
Second.